Oh, hi guys. This is a continuation of the other video I did about the negativity that comes out sometimes in the news business or the insurance business. With insurance, overall, it's a positive thing because, of course, you're insuring things that are of value to you, and it's also protecting you in case of loss, whether it's a person or your health or your possessions, your home motto, all the stuff, your business, all these things are important. But what happens is you're totally focusing on the negative aspects if you're in sales on those things, which sales is supposed to be a very positive thing because you have to stay upbeat to within internally to keep selling on a strictly commission, just like with acting, auditioning, and job interviewing, and all the things where you could face rejection on a regular basis. But however, you think about it, you're having to sell people on the idea of loss all the time. It's like, what if, the tree falls on your house, or which actually that happened to a customer of mine during a big storm and a lightning strike, and just car accidents, someone passing away, or basically all kinds of things can happen. And that goes on all the time if you watch the news. Those two industries are so similar in many ways, and I was in both of those industries, and I guess that's why Dee Wallace Stone was saying I had that negative energy she needed to clear. This was so many years back. She is actually a huge guru on energy clearing, in addition to being a top actress and everything. But we were talking about that, and in her group that she had a meeting. It was like a regular webinar, or was actually a live event, seminar, webinar, etc. Discussing all these things. But I noticed I did feel a lot lighter when I left that meeting that day. But basically, yeah, you're in sales on that. You have to constantly remind people of what if, and it's all negative stuff. You need to buy this in case this happens. Well, when I was in it, I would try to stay positive, and I would tell people, okay, well, let's go ahead and insure you now, and it's better to think about all this insured because basically, with Murphy's Law, maybe if you have all these coverages, nothing will happen. Whereas if you don't have the coverages, something could. So that was kind of how I handled that. But it is focusing a lot on negative stuff. And, the negativity can run rampant if you started out in the news business. And then I went through that whole thing with married and divorced for a short, well, I've been single most of my life, and I was married and divorced. But, when I was turning 30 and engaged for the second time, but the second time I ended up following through with the actual marriage, which didn't work out, and that's a whole nother story. However, we were feeling pressured, like, by the news media. There was a lot of stories coming out then about, well, if you don't find a husband or you're not married by the time you're 30, then you have a better chance of being, oh, I don't know, they would use all kinds of negative things happening to you. You know, getting stuck in like a war, or getting stuck in a major catastrophe, getting stuck in a volcano, or getting stuck in a hurricane, or whatever it was. Basically it was all about being stuck into a negative cycle, and that was highlighted by the news industry. And ironically enough, I had met my second fiance, who I turned married for a while I was 29, and it didn't work out for either one of us. So, but sometimes you can't let yourself be scared or pressured into things. you know, whether it's buying something, going into a job or career that may or may not be right for you. I mean, sometimes you just got to do what you got to do, and you just got to grab that job. And I was really hoping this recent job would have been a quick fix to my situation, but it might not have been. It was a call center job, and I've done that in recent years before, and there is a high turnover on that because once again, you are taking incoming calls versus always trying to sell people and doing the cold calls. However, everybody's got a problem. They need all their customer service issues fixed yesterday, right now, and you're taking in a lot of complaints and people screaming at you, and before you even know what the whole situation is, because remember, they're calling you cold and you haven't even called up all their information yet. See, whereas the nice thing about if you're on, and that's for an hourly job in call center, whereas if you're on strictly commission insurance sales, you know, of course you could probably maybe get some other maybe more fun job or something else that's not quite as stressful. Of course, cashiering can be stressful too, and substitute teaching, all these jobs I've had. But you know, you can't really get away from stress completely anyway. But basically, when you're on a strictly commission insurance job, you at least have time to research the situation ahead of time and, you know, draw up some proposals for people on covering their coverages, you know, helping them, you know, show them some quotes and recommending certain things for them, regardless of the kind of coverages it is for their business and commercial insurance, or for, you know, their home auto, their life, whether they're married or they're a single parent with kids, or, you know, whether they're, you know, their health, you know, Medicare supplements, or, you know, home auto, the whole thing. So basically, you do have to totally focus pretty much to be in sales on that. At least that was kind of the old school way, but of course now with everything, or not everything, but so many things going direct or letting AI take over, AI will be absorbing a lot of the negativity, and you know, but hopefully the AI won't goof up, you know, on some of the things that they're doing. Hopefully there's somebody checking on all this. But anyway, that was like the continuation of the other video that I was trying to finish before I had to delete some more storage on my iPad here. So it's something to think about. You can absorb negative energy, of course, from anybody, but if it's not your job or your career or your circumstances, you know, you can carry negativity from what you've gone through, like from childhood trauma, or, you know, you can just carry this stuff around with you. You've got to learn how to just let it go, you know, just focus on the positive things, you know. So I would say, for example, like with me, I really would wish I had a washer dryer in my apartment, but in order to do that, I need to get more work to make more money so that I can afford the kind of apartment that would have all that again. For example, instead of trying to live beyond my means, we all do it, or even to have a dishwasher, which I don't, or have a bigger place, or, you know, it's all like a catch-22. In order to do these kind of things, you have to earn more money to have a nicer place, or if you're really motivated to buy a house all by yourself, then you've really got to step up your career game, perhaps, and or get roommates, or maybe if you are getting married, you make sure that you're compatible with that person, regardless of whether it's work. You know, it's all work, whether you choose to handle the work of being happy as a single person or divorced person, or whether you want to work with someone in a marriage or situation, basically like a teammate almost, but you've got to still have some kind of chemistry with them too. But it all can be kind of confusing. Life is just, you just have to do the best you can. But on a personal note, I would share this, that sometimes I think I've turned to jobs and careers as a way to avoid, um, intimacy is not exactly the right word I'm looking for here, but maybe, a close relationship. And I'm not necessarily talking about physical and all that, but I mean, that's part of it. But I'm talking about just being vulnerable and sharing, uh, your deepest, innermost thoughts and fears with someone, and then having them, or having the fear of rejection from them, that can all be kind of scary too. And I think all my life I've tried to stay busy and worked several different jobs and careers, regardless of whether I was financially successful at all of them, as long as I always stayed afloat. That was kind of like my goal, just to stay afloat until I found someone. But yet I kept thinking it'd be like the across the crowded room, exciting. And I have felt that before. Um, and in recent years I did, but you know, it wasn't with someone that was maybe on my level, maybe, or maybe I had the low self-esteem to think, well, I'm not pretty enough, or I'm not slim, like I used to be, I'm not young enough. You can get into, and of course I'm not financially successful enough either at all, In other words, money attracts money oftentimes in relationships. And same goes for, like two fit people that are always at the gym and working out and watching their diet. Those two people can attract each other and have more in common maybe. But I think if you meet the right person, you can help each other. For example, you can help them with things. But I do think that I've done that, and I think a lot of people have done that too. Like, kind of poured myself into work, and kind of like, I think I mentioned that in another video one day, like marrying my careers. In other words, when one career is not fun or interesting, try to find another one. Um, Kind of the way I was raised too. My parents had a business and everything, but small business, but nevertheless, um, sometimes we can use work as a substitute for a real relationship. In other words, you need a balance in your life. You need both. And same thing with friendships. And so that's all. I just thought I'd share all that with you. But of course, every industry has its positive and negative aspects. But excuse me. But some things, some careers and industries seem to have more emphasis on it than others, or um, it's like more necessary to focus on the negative events to possibly close or make sales, like for example in insurance, or even in the news business. Always be on the lookout for things that are going on, and basically always be on the watch for everything. And sometimes that can create the energy of more bad things happening, perhaps. Like I'm learning, like with healing, as I get more into healing work, or learning more about healing work. I followed several different people, like, and I can go into more detail if about, my friend Angela, that sells the products that I can sell too, the healing oils, and she prays into them, and she does healing work. And then of course Dee Wildstone that I mentioned. A lot of creative people are into healing work, and several other people, Matt Schaefer, Victor Odo, Aaron Dowdy. I mean, there's like a myriad of lists. I mean, I listened to a free webinar yesterday from someone. I mean, there's constantly things. In the past, I've been able to buy some of the little programs, Jared Hewitt, and I mean, but basically they're all kind of discussing a lot of healing things about healing and frequency. And if you totally focus on positive things and raise your frequency, you can help the planet more that way. uh, than maybe trying to expose all the negativity or trying to dwell on negative things. So, it's kind of a balance in life. But and also, if you really are desperate, like I felt like I was felt a little desperation to get that job, kind of like a quick fix to fix my financial situation. Maybe they sense that, or like that one audition I had back in January. I really wanted that. I would have only had to just drive to Austin, which is just an hour and a half drive from here. It would have been with a prominent, producer, actress, person, per project. But basically, it's like sometimes people can sense that, and or even in a relationship, like if you're really desperate, like if you really like a guy and you're so attracted to him and you really just felt butterflies. And I felt that he was a prominent person, which I've seen him in person and even met him for like a split second before, and sometimes didn't even know who it was. But these kind of people have lots of choices and opportunities. And basically, I'm not necessarily on the same wavelengths too. But a lot of times in life, if you have sort of a little bit of a desperation, or if you're really really wanting something too much, sometimes you can kind of repel it. Whether it's a sale, making a sale, getting a job, booking the audition and getting an acting role, finding a new boyfriend, um, I've always been pretty lucky about friends, but I have met friends or people that have always felt kind of a desperation to meet new friends, and does this friend like me, and different. I've never really felt that way about friendship. I guess I've been kind of lucky with friendship, and I've always been kind of busy too with all these jobs, so I've never had a lot of time for lots of friends. Although when I was really young, I did. We'd like 10 of us would go to clubs together and everything, but to meet men and dance and go disco dancing and all that. But basically, people sense that on an energy level, and for your health too. It's not good, and it's the energy around something. It's like if I, like the longer you go without doing your housework or your laundry or whatever you're trying to do, or decluttering, the worse it gets. Things kind of get out of hand, or like your charge cards, or whatever it is. Your health, or so it's life's challenging. But you know what? Just enjoy it, and don't get too overwhelmed by all of it. And every job or industry is the same in the fact that there are going to be stress points or pain points with it. And my philosophy about jobs, even if you don't like your job, but you have to have a job, or if you're in sales, strictly commission sales, you can make money at that depending on your attitude. You have to have a really great attitude. The better your attitude, the more positive you are about it, you can just naturally attract sales sometimes too, without knocking yourself out or constantly, you know, you know, you know, just knocking yourself out, calling people every minute and pursuing the sales. But basically, you can just sort of be happy and content with your life anyway. So it's challenging, but we can do it. So I'm the two that can do it, whatever. I'm Celery Queen Jean, right? Oh, I forgot to wave this. Celery Queen Jean, and I wave the energy around, positive thinking. But it is challenging. Life is challenging. And no matter what you do, supposedly a lot of people that are rich or famous or have lots of, success in life, you see it in the tabloids. I don't know if that's true or not. Some of it's probably just fake news, but some of it, maybe part of it's true. They're not always happy every minute either. I mean, like some real spiritual people have always told me, like some friends of mine that had started a little church one time in Dallas, like they pointed out, and this is, I'm a Catholic Christian. I go to a Christian church now, and they're great too. But I do go to Catholic church some too. But basically, we do the best we can on this planet, and we pursue happiness and peace and love on this planet and have heaven on earth as much as we can. But the true happiness will be in our next life, and that'll be our next mission in life that God will give to us, okay? My nose is itching. I'm like superstitious. Is somebody talking about me, or I probably just have a little bit of allergies. Probably need to do some housework and get rid of the dust in here and etc. Okay, guys. Well, maybe, oh, there was dust on this celery because I haven't been waving it lately. Maybe I need to. And once again, you can order these. It's not real celery. It looks like it though. Very realistic plastic celery, and it goes with Angela's Hot Mom box. And I put some links up to order. You have to look through all the different things, but be sure and order this product because my little commission's a little better on that one. But I buy any of them, but be sure and make sure that you're ordering it from me. And if you have any problems, you know that my name is listed. We're having another meeting about it next week, so I think next Wednesday. But let me know if you have questions about any of the products, and I'm still learning about all of them. And I can ask Angela more about it too. So, okay, guys, over and out, guys. Talk to you next time. Oh, and if you have questions about the Aliabo olive oil too, let me know. Okay, bye.